You're sitting in front of your screen at 2 in the morning, your finger hovering over the mouse, your chest tight, your breath shallow, and somewhere deep in your mind a quiet voice is whispering that you've already lost before you even click. You've been here before, haven't you? The same loop, the same promises, the same slow bleed of capital and confidence. And tonight, right now, you're about to do it again, because the idea of doing nothing feels like surrender, like giving up, like admitting you're not good enough. But what if I told you that for 23 days, the most profitable thing you could possibly do is become a statue, absolutely still, watching without touching, and that this motionless discipline would teach you more about trading than any course, any strategy, any indicator setup ever could? Let me know in the comments, what city are you watching this from? And be honest, are you consistently profitable in trading, or are you still struggling? If you need guidance, drop a comment below. I personally read them, and I'll help where I can. Most traders fail not because they don't know enough, but because they can't stop knowing, can't stop acting, can't stop proving to themselves and to the market that they exist, that they matter, that they can beat this thing if they just try harder, trade more, stay longer, push deeper into the night until the screen burns into their retinas and their account balance becomes a countdown timer to 0. You've felt this, I know you have. That electric compulsion, that itch in your fingers when you see a candle forming, when you hear about a setup in a Discord channel, when you watch someone post a winner, and something inside you screams that you're missing out, that the market is happening without you, that every moment you're not in a trade is a moment of potential profit slipping away into someone else's account. This is the sickness. This is the cage. And it doesn't come from lack of knowledge or poor strategy or bad risk management, although those things matter. It comes from something far more primitive, something wired into your brain long before markets existed, long before money existed, long before you ever downloaded a charting platform and decided you were going to make your living reading price action. Your brain was designed by evolution to keep you alive in a world of immediate physical threats, a world where hesitation meant death and action meant survival, where the rustle in the grass could be wind or could be a predator, and you had milliseconds to decide. In that ancient environment, doing nothing was dangerous. Waiting was dangerous. Stillness meant vulnerability. So your nervous system learned to reward action, to flood you with urgency chemicals, to make you feel like something is wrong when you're not moving, not responding, not engaging. This system kept your ancestors alive. But it is killing you as a trader, because the market is not a predator in the grass. The market is a vast, indifferent mathematical machine that doesn't care about your urgency, doesn't reward your hustle, doesn't respect your need to feel productive. The market pays for one thing and one thing only: asymmetric patience. It pays the people who can sit through 23 days of noise, of false setups, of tempting patterns that look right but aren't, of FOMO and boredom, and the gnawing fear that they've gone soft, that they've lost their edge, that they're missing the boat. It pays the statues. Think about a lion on the savannah. A lion doesn't chase every gazelle it sees. It doesn't sprint across the plain every hour, burning energy, proving its speed, showing the herd that it's a predator. A lion lies in the shade for 23 hours doing absolutely nothing, conserving energy, watching, waiting, and when the perfect moment arrives, when a young or injured gazelle drifts too close, the lion moves with explosive precision for 90 seconds and feeds for a week. You look at that lion during those 23 hours, and you might think it's lazy, that it's not working, that it's wasting time. But that lion understands something you've forgotten: energy is finite, opportunity is rare, and survival belongs to those who can endure the boring tyranny of waiting without losing their edge. You are not that lion right now. Right now, you're sprinting after every gazelle you see, exhausting yourself, missing the real opportunities because you're too tired, too depleted, too emotionally spent from all the meaningless chases you've already run today. The 23-day statue is not about being passive. It's not about giving up or checking out or pretending the market doesn't exist. It's about training yourself to separate observation from action, to prove to your nervous system that you can watch without touching, that you can be present without being reactive, that you have the psychological strength to endure the discomfort of stillness. Most traders never develop this muscle. They go straight from learning a strategy to trading it, and they wonder why they can't execute, why they overtrade, why they keep breaking their rules. It's because they never built the foundation. They never taught their brain that doing nothing is a skill, that waiting is a position, that stillness is a form of power. Here's what happens in the first 3 days of the 23-day statue. You feel fine. You feel disciplined. You feel proud of yourself for not trading, for watching the charts, for taking notes, for being patient. You tell yourself this is easy, that you've got this, that you've finally figured it out. Then day 4 arrives and the FOMO starts creeping in. You see a setup that looks perfect. That matches your strategy, that would have been a winner, and you didn't take it because you made this stupid commitment to be a statue for 23 days. You start bargaining with yourself. You start thinking maybe the point wasn't to literally not trade, maybe the point was to be more selective, and this setup is selective, right? This is exactly the kind of trade you should be taking. The itch becomes a burn. By day 7, you hate this exercise. You hate me for suggesting it. You hate yourself for committing to it. You feel like you're being punished, like you're wasting time, like the market is moving and you're stuck on the sidelines watching everyone else get rich while you sit here like an idiot proving nothing to no one. This is the moment that separates people who will eventually make it from people who will cycle through the same patterns for years. Because what you're feeling at day 7 isn't weakness or lack of discipline or anything wrong with you as a trader. What you're feeling is withdrawal. You are addicted to the dopamine hit of entering a trade, the adrenaline rush of being in the game, the temporary relief from anxiety that comes from doing something, anything, instead of sitting with the discomfort of uncertainty. And like any addict, you've built a tolerance. You need more trades to get the same feeling. You need to be in the market constantly just to feel normal. You've stopped trading to make money and started trading to regulate your emotional state, and you don't even realize it because it's been happening so gradually, so incrementally, trade by trade, day by day, until the behavior became invisible to you, until it felt like just who you are as a trader. The 23-day statue breaks this cycle by forcing you into a confrontation with yourself. Around day 9 or 10, something shifts. The desperate FOMO starts to quiet down. You begin to notice things you never noticed before, because you were always too busy being in trades to actually see the market. You start to see how many of those perfect setups that tortured you on day 4 actually failed. You start to see patterns in your own psychology, the specific times of day when you feel most compelled to trade, the specific market conditions that trigger your urgency, the specific emotional states that make you vulnerable to impulsive decisions. You're building a database of self-knowledge that is worth more than any technical analysis course you could ever take because it's teaching you about the only variable in trading you can actually control: yourself. By day 14, you've crossed into different territory. The urge to trade is still there, but it's manageable now, like background noise instead of a screaming alarm. You start to feel something unfamiliar: boredom. Not the anxious, itchy boredom of missing out, but a calm, almost meditative boredom that comes from doing the same simple thing day after day. Watch the charts, take notes, observe your thoughts, do nothing. This boredom is sacred. This boredom is where the real work happens. Because when you can sit with boredom without reaching for your phone, without opening another chart, without finding something to do just to do something, you've located the edge. You've found the psychological space where patient capital lives, where asymmetric opportunity waits, where the real traders separate themselves from the crowd. The last 9 days of the 23-day statue are different again. By now you've rewired something fundamental. You've proven to yourself that you can be in the presence of opportunity without reacting to it, that you can feel the pull of FOMO without surrendering to it, that you can endure the discomfort of inaction without collapsing into self-doubt. You start to notice that your relationship with the market has changed. You're no longer desperate for it to move, no longer anxious when it does, no longer devastated when you miss a move. You're watching it the way you might watch weather or traffic, with interest but without attachment, with attention but without need. This detachment is not apathy. This detachment is freedom. On day 23, you don't celebrate. You don't rush back into trading with some triumphant re-entry like you've been released from prison. You simply continue, because the 23 days were never about punishment or arbitrary discipline. They were about showing you what's possible when you remove the noise, when you strip away the compulsive doing, when you let the market reveal itself to you, instead of imposing your need for action onto it. Some of you reading this are already thinking of excuses. You're thinking you can't afford to not trade for 23 days. You're thinking your account is too small, your bills are too pressing, your situation is too urgent. And I'm telling you with absolute certainty that this thinking is exactly why you're stuck. Because you're operating from scarcity and desperation, and scarcity and desperation are the opposite of the psychological state required to extract money from markets. You cannot trade your way out of urgent need. You can only trade your way deeper into it. The market doesn't care about your bills. It doesn't care that you need to make rent, or that you're trying to prove something to your family, or that you've already lost so much that you need to make it back quickly, or the whole dream falls apart. The market is not your employer, not your ATM, not your salvation. The market is a probability distribution that occasionally offers asymmetric risk, reward opportunities to people who are calm enough, patient enough, disciplined enough to wait for them, and decisive enough to execute when they appear. Everything else is noise. Everything else is you trying to force the market to care about you, and the market will punish you for that arrogance every single time until you either learn or quit. Let me tell you about Marcus, a trader I mentored 2 years ago. Marcus came to me after blowing through 3 accounts in 18 months. He knew his strategy cold, could explain his edge in detail, had a risk management system that looked perfect on paper. But he couldn't stop trading. He would follow his rules for 3 days, take 2 good trades, make some profit, then give it all back and more in the next 48 hours through overtrading, revenge trading, FOMO trades, boredom trades. He came to me desperate, convinced there was something wrong with his strategy, asking me to help him find a better system. I told him his strategy was fine, his risk management was fine, his technical analysis was fine. The problem was him. The problem was that he was addicted to action and couldn't sit still long enough for his edge to work. He didn't like hearing that. Nobody does. But he was desperate enough to try anything, so I gave him the 23-day statue challenge. The first week Marcus messaged me every single day. Day 1 he was excited, motivated, committed. Day 4 he was struggling, seeing setups everywhere, convinced he was missing the trade of the year. Day 6 he was angry, telling me this was stupid, that he wasn't learning anything, that he was wasting time. I didn't argue with him. I just told him to keep going. Day 9 he went quiet. Didn't message me for almost a week. When he finally reached out on day 15, his tone had completely changed. He said he'd been watching his charts like always, but something was different. He said he could see his strategy playing out, could see the winners and the losers, but he wasn't feeling that frantic need to be in them anymore. He said it was like watching a game he used to play, instead of a game he was currently losing. By day 23, Marcus had filled a notebook with observations, not about the market, but about himself. He documented every single moment. He felt the urge to trade, what time it was, what was happening in the market, what was happening in his life, what emotional state he was in. He'd created a psychological map of his own triggers, his own weaknesses, his own patterns. When Marcus started trading again, after the 23 days, he didn't become perfect. He still made mistakes, still had losing trades, still felt the pull of old habits, but something fundamental had changed. He could feel the urge to overtrade rising in his body and actually pause, actually choose a different response, actually walk away when he knew he was compromised. He stopped treating every session like he had to make money and started treating trading like a long-term probability game where his job was to show up in the right psychological state and execute when his edge appeared. 6 months later, Marcus had his first consistently profitable quarter. 9 months later, he'd made back everything he'd lost in those first 3 accounts. Not because he found a better strategy, not because he learned some secret indicator, but because he'd done the psychological work that most traders refuse to do. Because it's boring, because it doesn't feel like progress, because it requires you to confront the uncomfortable truth that you are the problem and you are also the solution. The statue exercise reveals something most traders spend years avoiding. You don't have a strategy problem, you have an emotional regulation problem. You don't need more knowledge, you need more self-control. You don't need a better setup. You need a better relationship with uncertainty. Every single technical skill you've learned, every pattern you've memorized, every indicator you've studied becomes completely useless if you can't execute it with discipline. And you can't execute with discipline until you've built the psychological foundation that makes discipline possible. That foundation is the ability to do nothing. The ability to wait. The ability to be uncomfortable without taking action to relieve the discomfort. The ability to watch opportunity pass by without hating yourself for missing it. The ability to sit with uncertainty without collapsing into impulsive certainty. Think about the best trade you ever took. Not the most profitable, but the best. The one that felt right from entry to exit, where you followed your plan perfectly, where you managed your risk cleanly, where you took profit without greed or exited without fear. I guarantee that trade didn't come after a week of overtrading and emotional chaos. I guarantee it came after a period of patience, of waiting, of watching, of being ready. That trade was possible because you were in the right psychological state, because you had energy and clarity and emotional bandwidth, because you weren't depleted from fighting with the market all day every day. The 23-day statue is training you to create that state deliberately instead of stumbling into it accidentally. Here's the protocol, the actual system you can implement starting today. For the next 23 days, you will not take a single trade. Not one. Not even if it's the perfect setup. Not even if you're absolutely certain, not even if everyone in your trading group is taking it and it goes exactly where you thought it would. You will open your charts, you will watch price action, you will mark your setups, you will take screenshots, you will journal your observations, but you will not click the button. Every single day, you will write down 3 things. First, what setups appeared that matched your strategy. Second, what you felt emotionally when you saw them. Third, what you learned about yourself by not trading them. This is not busy work. This is data collection on the only trading variable that matters, which is you. You will have moments, probably many moments, where you convince yourself that you've learned the lesson already, that you don't need to do all 23 days, that you're ready to go back. This is your addiction talking. This is your nervous system trying to return to homeostasis, trying to get back to the familiar pattern of action and reaction that feels safe even though it's destroying you. When this voice appears, and it will, you acknowledge it, you write it down in your journal, and you continue being a statue. The number 23 is not arbitrary. It's long enough to break the acute withdrawal phase, to reset your dopamine baseline, to build a new neural pathway that associates trading with patience instead of urgency. It's short enough to be achievable, to not feel like you're giving up trading forever, to maintain your engagement with the market while changing your relationship to action. Some of you will do this exercise and it will change your trading career. Some of you will read this, nod along, feel inspired for about 6 hours, and then completely ignore it because it sounds hard and boring, and you've convinced yourself that your situation is different, that you don't have time for exercises, that you need to be making money now. I can't make you do this. I can only tell you that the traders I know who who are consistently profitable, the ones who've been doing this for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and are still here, still growing their accounts, still improving their edge. Every single one of them has learned this lesson one way or another. They've all learned that doing nothing is not the opposite of taking action, it's the foundation that makes meaningful action possible. The market will still be here in 23 days. Every opportunity you think you're missing right now will come around again in some form because markets are cyclical, patterns repeat, edges persist. But your psychological state, your emotional bandwidth, your ability to execute with discipline, these things are finite resources that you're currently depleting every single day through overtrading, through forcing, through trying to squeeze profit out of market conditions that don't offer your edge. You're mining a depleted vein and wondering why you keep coming up empty. The 23-day statue moves you to a different mine, one that's rich with opportunity, because it's internal instead of external, because it's about building capacity instead of chasing outcomes. I want you to imagine yourself 6 months from now. In one version, you've continued doing exactly what you're doing now. You've taken hundreds more trades, you've had some winners, you've had more losers, your account is roughly where it is today or smaller, and you're still caught in the same cycle of hope and disappointment, still reading the same trading psychology books, still looking for the missing piece that will finally make it all click. In the other version, you took 23 days to be a statue. You suffered through the boredom and the FOMO and the voice that said you were wasting time. You built a foundation of discipline and self-knowledge that you'd never built before. You came out of those 23 days with a completely different relationship to the market, to opportunity, to yourself. And over the following months, that new foundation allowed you to actually execute your edge, to actually follow your plan, to actually build your account steadily instead of chaotically. Which version do you want to live? The choice is not between trading and not trading. The choice is between trading from a place of strength or trading from a place of weakness, between acting from discipline or reacting from compulsion, between approaching the market as a professional or approaching it as an addict looking for a fix. Right now, today, you have the opportunity to make a different choice. Not tomorrow, not after you finish this losing streak, not after you make back what you lost last week. Today, right now, close your trading platform, open a journal, right at the top of the first page, day 1 of 23, then write down what you're feeling right now, in this moment, as you contemplate actually doing this. Write down the resistance, the excuses, the fears, the bargaining. Get it all out on paper where you can see it, where it becomes real and external instead of swirling around in your head controlling you from the shadows. For the next 23 days, your job is not to make money. Your job is not to prove you're a good trader. Your job is not to beat the market or impress anyone or make up for past losses. Your job is to show up every single day and practice doing nothing. Practice watching without touching. Practice feeling the urge to act and choosing stillness. Practice being bored without reaching for distraction. Practice being present with discomfort without trying to fix it, or escape it, or trade your way out of it. This is the real work. This is what separates the statues from the gamblers. And here's what most people won't tell you because it sounds too simple, too boring, too unsexy for the world of trading where everyone wants to talk about strategies and setups and market analysis. The ability to do nothing is the highest form of action because it's the only action that comes from true choice rather than compulsion. When you can sit still in front of opportunity and choose not to take it, you've accessed real power. When you can feel every fiber of your being screaming at you to enter a trade and you can pause, breathe, and walk away, you've found the edge that 95% of traders never find because they're too busy doing to ever learn how to be. The market rewards patience with asymmetric returns. It rewards stillness with clarity. It rewards discipline with survival, and survival is the only thing that matters because you can't compound capital you don't have. You can't improve a strategy you've given up on. You can't build a career you've emotionally destroyed through overtrading and revenge trading and all the other ways you try to force the market to care about you. The 23-day statue is not about becoming passive or losing your edge or forgetting how to trade. It's about remembering that you are not your thoughts, you are not your urges. You are not the voice in your head screaming that you're missing out. You are the awareness that can observe all of that and choose a different response. So here's your homework, your commitment, your challenge. For the next 7 days, just 7 to start, I want you to log every single moment you feel the urge to enter a trade. Not the trades you take, but the urges you feel. Write down the time, what was happening on the chart, what you were feeling in your body, what story you were telling yourself about why you needed to trade right now. Do this for 7 days, and then come back to the comments and tell me what you discovered. Type the word state UE if you're committing to this, if you're ready to do the real work that nobody wants to do, because it doesn't look like work, doesn't feel like progress, doesn't give you the dopamine hit of entering a trade and watching your P&L flash green and red. Type stat U if you're finally ready to become the trader you've been trying to force yourself to be through effort and grinding, when what you actually needed was to stop, to be still, to build the foundation you've been trying to build a career on top of without ever pouring. The market is not going anywhere. Your edge is not disappearing. The opportunities will come around again and again and again. But your emotional bandwidth, your capital, your belief in yourself, these things are finite and you're spending them like they're infinite. Like you can just keep pushing and grinding and fighting and forcing until something breaks in your favor. What's going to break is you. What's going to break is your account. What's going to break is your dream of making this work unless you learn this lesson now, today, before you've lost so much that you can't come back from it. The 23-day statue is your chance. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It won't make a good story at parties. But it works. It works because it's addressing the actual problem instead of the symptoms, because it's building the foundation instead of trying to build the house on sand, because it's teaching you the one skill that makes every other skill possible. The ability to do nothing until it's time to do something. And when you come out of those 23 days, when you've built that foundation, when you've rewired your relationship with action and inaction, with patience and urgency, with discipline and compulsion, then you trade. Then you execute. Then you take the setups that match your edge with the calm precision of a lion that's been lying in the shade for 23 hours and now moves with explosive certainty because it knows, it truly knows, that this is the moment. Not because it's desperate. Not because it's proving anything, but because the opportunity is there and the lion is ready, and the rest is just execution. That's what's waiting for you on the other side of these 23 days. That's what's possible when you finally understand that doing nothing is not giving up, it's gearing up. It's not weakness, it's the ultimate strength. It's not wasting time, it's investing time in the only asset that actually matters in trading, which is you, your psychology, your discipline. Your ability to sit with discomfort and choose wisdom over compulsion. Be the statue, the market will wait. The question is whether you'll still be here when you're finally ready.